Good day, denizens of the Eastern Front. I'm Unsilent, and we're on the air with more of Battlefield 1942. Now, we have reached the Battle of Stalingrad. This is considered one of the deadliest battles in the whole of World War II, and perhaps the whole of modern war altogether. The Battle of Stalingrad is in the city. If you're not familiar with Stalingrad, the current Russian city is called Volgograd. As you can see right here in the bottom of this little map here, the Volga River, it's now named for the Volga River as opposed to being named for Joseph Stalin. So let's start with the briefing before we start dumping into the historical notes. As enemy troops continue to pound Stalingrad, Stalin's words, "Not a step backwards," echo in the ears of every Red Army soldier. After the long winter campaign, Russian troops are more determined than ever to maintain control of the city. Even though Germany's armored units have turned much of the city to ruin, the Red Army has been doing a good job of repelling the assault. According to intelligence, German forces are gathering for a final all-out assault on the city. If successful, this attack could mean defeat for Russia. It is crucial for every Russian to dig in and hold the city against this invasion. Stalingrad must not fall into enemy hands. The objectives: the Germans will not take Stalingrad, hold at least half of the outposts to deny them a victory here. So we've got 3 outposts, and we have to capture Soviet City HQ, and then it's going to be a battle for railroads in the middle of the map in order to secure victory. Everything in here sounds so short, but actually the Battle of Stalingrad went on for about 7 months. Now let us go. I think we're probably going to want to go assault for the start of this map. The Battle of Stalingrad actually took place over 7 months, from July 1942 to February 1943. The Russians consider it their greatest military victory. And I mentioned historians consider it one of the most bloody battles. What the hell am I using? That is an interesting. We used this last time we played the Russians, and I thought the same thing, didn't I? The machine gun that we have here. Historians consider this to be one of the bloodiest battles in history, as I mentioned. You're looking at something like 2 million people die in this battle, all told, between military and civilians. Now, both sides have quite quickly captured their outpost, but now it's a battle for here. We have captured, which is going to be, oh boy. Our problem is now that we've got a tank on the other side of this overturned rail car that's providing us cover. I'm not entirely sure what to do with it. Now we can take out some of these German soldiers here. Now the battle for Stalingrad, I mentioned, took place over the course of 7 months. I believe I had mentioned in the second video of the Let's Play that it's point blank, I can hit him. There we go. The battle for Stalingrad and the Soviet Union had sort of turned on Germans freezing themselves out in the Russian winter. We got shot. I was thinking, we got blown up. No, it just sounded like we got blown up. So we're going to spawn over here at the railroads, because this is where most of the battle is going to take place. The Germans did get frozen out. Lack of supplies was one of the big German problems as they extended themselves eastward and westward through to they had extended all the way to France. They were all the way east to here in Stalingrad. They were south and north of Africa. So Germany had troops and armor and planes. What the hell is that? all over the place, right? So people talk about, oh, well, you know, if they didn't stop Hitler, who would? It's entirely possible that Hitler could have stopped him, you know, could have stopped himself just by overextending, and we will see that in a later European battle. But in this case, actually, Stalingrad was actually a very important, battle for the Axis and for the Germans for a couple of reasons. One, Stalingrad was an important symbolic location for both the Soviets and the Axis, because this is the only city that was named after Joseph Stalin. So obviously for both sides, hey, we've taken this city that's named after your leader, was going to be a big deal in terms of morale for the Germans. And then for the Soviets, it was a matter of, we aren't letting them take the city named after our leader. More importantly, though, is the fact that what this city provided a gate to, it was on the Volga River, as we had mentioned. That runs north to south, so that provided a lot of room for troop and supply movements for whoever held Stalingrad. It also would have served as a staging ground for the... that's just over my head. For the Axis to capture the Caucasus region of Russia. Now that's between the Black and Caspian Sea, and that is a very mineral-rich territory. Like, it's got, I think, gold and oil, and I think a few other minerals, like maybe nickel's there. But the Germans would have been able to... I don't know if they would have been able to, you know, resupply themselves completely, but they would have been able to certainly find themselves their own fuel in order to keep their tanks going. You know, with all the metals there, you know, would they have been able to fund their war effort by selling them? Would they have been able to just make their own munitions and armor? Obviously, they didn't capture Stalingrad, so we are going to quickly, very quickly, run out the clock on the Germans. I didn't even get a chance to mention how this battle went. We scored a total victory. Have we done that yet in this game? That was really quick. Berlin must be wondering what it must do to capture the city, which, with each victory like this, Red Army troops are essentially telling the enemy there is nothing they can do to overthrow Stalingrad. Yes and no, because the Germans actually kind of came into Stalingrad pretty quickly and pushed the Red Army right up against the Volga River in this industrial area that we are in right now, or I guess were in. But the problem was that once they got backed up to the river, the Red Army dug in and fought back and eventually starved out German forces. This wasn't a matter of we're going to push them back out. They actually surrounded the German forces as it sort of got whittled down and undersupplied. They were able to basically encircle German forces in Stalingrad and force a surrender. Hitler wasn't a big fan of that. I mean, he had sent reinforcements in to try and help out the siege of Stalingrad, but because of the winter and because of Soviet fighting along the way, they couldn't get to Stalingrad. And so what you had as a result was an undermanned and underarmed German force eventually basically forced to tap out against Soviet resistance that basically starved them of what they needed in order to succeed. And with that, we will move back to the African front. So we have skipped forward a little bit in time here in the African front. Now, the last video had the Battle of Tobruk, or at least the prelude to part of the Siege of Tobruk. I figured they happened just before Operation Crusader, which started in November 1941. What we're looking at here, at the Battle of El Alamein, or El Alamein, here in the top left of the map here, occurred in July 1942. So we have jumped well ahead in this timeline in the African campaign. And let's start with the briefing first, though. The Battle at Tobruk resulted in heavy casualties. While generals on both sides realize that rest and reinforcements are needed, they also know that the only way to victory is to press on with the attack and seize whatever momentum they can muster. At El Alamein, the Allies are amassing the entire 8th Army in preparation to counter the next Axis offensive. At a point known as Kidney's Ridge, Allied troops have been ordered to prepare for the German advance. As part of the plan to secure this area, Allied troops will lay down as many mines as possible. When the Panzer Division rolls through this area, it will be greeted by some explosive surprises. It's crucial that the Allies stop the enemy from storming through this area. Objectives: keep the Germans off balance by capturing and holding at least half of the outposts. In this manner, we can ensure our ultimate victory. Now, El Alamein is a really small town in Egypt. El Alamein is on the rail line to Alexandria and had a small port itself. So really what this is the Germans and the Italians moving east, trying to capture ports along the way so they can keep supplies rolling in. Hence the strategic value of Tobruk. Now, El Alamein isn't as valuable as Tobruk. Now, Alexandria, which is further off to the east, that is valuable, and the rail line to Alexandria runs right through El Alamein. So that is why the Germans are so interested in, we are going to go anti-tank because we're facing Rommel. And we've got 2 points here that we have to capture here, north and south. Tobruk's to the west, obviously. I mentioned before that I believe it was mid-1942, like May, July, that the Germans had taken Tobruk, just regrouped and just absolutely laid waste to Tobruk and forced Allied withdrawals. I am trying to find some armor to roll out with to kind of expedite movement here, but it's like they wanted me to get into the air. We saw the last video. Airborne combat and I do not get along particularly well. You get a thing with the gun on top. Where are our troops going? Nobody's going north, so I think I'm gonna take this down, and we're going to go hard right and head north, because okay, we've got 3 points to capture. Oh, we've captured that outpost. So let's just head this way around the lake that's probably not a mirage. It's an oasis. There's a bloody oasis in the middle of the battlefield. Not to be confused with Oasis, which was an old bar that long since has been torn down in my hometown. Anyway, while we're driving, let me read my notes. We talked about the Axis pushing the Allies back from Tobruk all the way to here. Now again, the goal for the Germans was once again to try and capture as many ports as they could along the way in North Africa. Keeping a steady supply line open and trying to limit Allied supplies was going to be their goal to victory in Africa. Let's take the map off here and see what we're climbing up here. We've got the ultimate off-road vehicle right here. We've captured the north outpost up at the top of your screen in D1, and we have just captured this one as well. So we have got, at the moment, a clean sweep. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't look like anybody cares to join us down here, down south. Well, that's kind of boring. Now, the first Battle of El Alamein, which I think is what we've got to simulate here, it was a short offensive by the Germans. Basically, the Germans were given a short front on which to attack, and infantry and mostly tank and artillery fire pounded Rommel's forces into submission. They tried to get going, and did I actually damage my tank rolling it up the hill? The hell? My tank just exploded. What's going on? I'm just beating up this car. Oh, crap. Okay, good news. I'm not dead yet. The bad news is they have my car. So talking about the short German front, they didn't have a lot of room to attack into, which allowed the Allies to really do a number using their mines and their artillery and their anti-tank weapons. Oh, we got blown up. Come on, how many times did I shoot him and I still couldn't kill him? Oh, now we're in trouble. Because now we've lost this and this point. Oh, we've recaptured one of them. So we've lost the north control point. We are going to just go all 100% Dukes of Hazzard. Oh, I thought that might have been a jump. There's a battle happening over there, which I think we should probably go and relieve. Oh, I got him. 1 for 1. Nope, never mind. He was standing right there. Never mind. After the initial Axis siege, our attack on El Alamein had failed, what they ended up doing was... oh, let's get that Jeep over there. What the Axis ended up doing was digging in and forcing the Brits to attack them on that same short front that they had used to make this initial German attack on El Alamein successful. However, we had talked about in the last video how Rommel had favored quicker tactics. He liked going in, going out, attacking fast. He liked being on the go. Blitzkrieg was much more Rommel's style. He did not prefer having to dig in, and that's what exactly he kind of forced himself into. We will just patch ourselves up here. That's exactly what he forced himself into by forcing the Allies to try and attack him on the short front. Oh, we got him. We got Joachim Mueller. Now we've got to deal with whatever German infantry is around here attacking us. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. They've got the AA... They've got the AA gun. That's going to be annoying. Oh, they've captured the... Yeah, they've captured the eastern outpost. That's not good. Now we are being slowly ticketed down because we can't seem to hold. Alright, we got that one. We got one of the guys in the tank, but we could not take out the other tank itself. But fortunately, that assault by one of our airplanes is going to help slightly. Oh, we are being ticketed down. We are in trouble here. Alright, never mind. We'll duck behind here. We're going to play this strategically. So we got to capture this. If we are going to have any hope of winning, I have to be... Crap. That was close. Somebody got the tank for us, which was handy. We've captured the outpost. Get in. Now that is a critical turnaround point. If you're from Canada, the phrase you're looking for right now is the TSN turning point. Use the Force self. See his hand go up there? Just almost like he's trying a Jedi mind trick. Okay, we got this out though. Now, the reason why I think this is the first Battle of El Alamein and not the second one is because we've got the long front here. If you look at the German HQ on the far left in Quadrant B4 versus ours in G5, towards the north and south outpost, it's a lot shorter front for the Germans. So, and they're going straight up the hill. It just seems a lot shorter for them. So I'm thinking this is the first battle as a result. It could be the second one, because in the second Battle of El Alamein, where the Allies were successful, it was their first major victory in the African front, they had a north and south diversionary tactic that split off some of Rommel's forces and allowed them to kind of spear up the middle, forcing Rommel to withdraw, even though Rommel was under strict orders to not withdraw. Rommel didn't get those orders until after, like days after he had withdrawn, and with that, it is GG, and we have just eked out the victory. It was a close one there for a bit. I did not think we were going to pick up the win here in El Alamein, but we did. The Battle at El Alamein will be remembered as a key victory for the Allies in North Africa. German forces in the desert have done everything they can to win the war, but they have nevertheless come up short. Their mighty tanks are running out of gas, and even Rommel must realize that the end is near. Montgomery will soon lead the Allied forces to victory in North Africa. Does that mean they aren't going to let us play any more North African missions? I have to just take a quick look. I took a list of the missions earlier so I could do some research. Found them on IGN Wiki. No, I think the next time we meet up with the British forces is when we move through Europe. That is missions for another video. In the next one, we go back to the Pacific, and we go back to Russia. But for now, our time in North Africa has come to an end, and so it has for this video. Thanks very much for joining me once again for another episode of Battlefield 1942. Like, share, subscribe, all that YouTubing jazz. It really does help out the channel if you do that. And the next video, Part 5 of Battlefield 1942, comes to you later this week. We're only doing Battlefield 1942 from now until we're done. Like I said, I looked up the missions on the IGN Wiki. There are 16 missions. This is the 8th one. We're halfway home. And then we're just playing Battlefield through now to the end of November. And then in December, we've got some new games. As per usual, I'm not going to commit 100% to them until I make sure that I'm actually able to run them. As I said when we started this adventure, originally I wanted it to be Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Didn't work on the newer equipment. It is what it is. But in future, we will definitely have Star Wars games in December. Which ones, I don't know yet. I think I have a couple of them in mind. One of which you can't actually, as I'm recording, which is the end of October, which as I'm recording, isn't available on either GOG or Steam. Actually, I don't think it's available on any of the big digital download services at the moment. So if I get that one to work, that'll be quite a surprise. And I think you guys will quite enjoy it. So until next time, I'm Unsilent. My voice is breaking. I really need to drink some more water when I'm recording. I'm Unsilent. Thank you very much for joining me. Don't forget the YouTubing jazz, and we will see you next time.